What's going on? Welcome back to the vlog. Whew, first day of school, that's what I'm talking about today. A little while ago I did a survival guide for the first couple weeks of school, but I wanted to hone down in on the first day of school. That was what I was most nervous or concerned about my first year of teaching, but also every year, that's the one day of the year that it just feels different than any other day. I mean, because you just don't know what to expect. It can be, very stressful to think about all the unknowns. So many questions you got to answer. You just don't know. The fear of the unknown is sort of the reason why it's so anxiety provoking. So I wanted to share some insights on what I do to get ready for the first day of school to make sure that I'm not all weird. Okay, so basically, the first day of school for me, I've decided a long time ago, keep it simple. The first day of school, the students are also having a lot of anxieties and worries about what to expect as well. So what I like to do on the very first day of school is I like to basically use the entire day for community building activities, get to know you stuff, talk about what everything is in the room, why we use it. We go over the classroom rules and procedures, and I teach kindergarten, so this is a lot of my students, this is their first time in a school at all. Many of them, it's the first time anyone's ever told them to sit down and do something that they don't particularly want to do. So I've got to work through all those types of things, but the reality is, I just try to keep it simple. And one way to sort of wrap my mind around all the things that need to be done on day one is to think about the day in halves. So first half of the day, second half of the day. So I'm fortunate enough that I have my lunch, recess, and my prep time right in the middle of the day. So instead of trying to get everything ready and worrying about, oh my gosh, the whole day I have to get ready for, I pre-plan for the whole day, but I just focus on, in the morning, I focus on getting everything ready, just for what I need in the morning. And then during my prep time, I get everything I need ready for the afternoon. So when I divide the day up in half like that, it's much easier to manage. It's much easier to manage when I only have to think about half a day at a time. So speaking of planning and getting things ready, whenever my first day of school is, this year happens to be on a Wednesday, so I luck out when I can actually stay late Tuesday night. I got to be there for meetings, and I can get everything ready for the next day. But if my first day was on a Monday, here's what I would do. I would come in on the Friday before, and I would get everything set out, copies made, everything set out where it needs to be for everything just in the morning of Monday. That way I don't have to worry about racing around Monday morning, getting all that around. And then I would use the weekend or the night before, if it's not on a Monday, I would use part of the weekend, preferably Sunday, part of Sunday, to mentally prepare myself for the day. So what I do is I literally close my eyes and I run through the entire day in my mind. So I will say everything that I'm going to say to the students. I will run through everything. I will say what I'm actually going to say to my students. I'm going to, even down to the transition time, even talking about how we, imaginarily calling the green table to the carpet, just so that I don't forget anything. So I'm envisioning everything that I'm going to see, do, and hear, and I'm also going to troubleshoot too. What if I have a crier? What am I going to do? What if I have a student who has an accident? What am I going to do? What if I have a student who's running around the classroom? All the scenarios that might happen, and I know it's kids, so you can have a plan for every scenario, but all the things that might happen could go wrong. I try to think about them and mentally prepare myself for those things. The important thing to remember when you're talking about day one of school is it's very important to set the ground rules, set the expectations right away for the school year. At the beginning of the school year, I try to keep everything super tight and structured, and by that I mean, if the school policy says shirts tucked in, every child has shirts tucked in, including myself. If whatever it is, it's much easier to be strict or a stickler, if you want to say that, at the beginning, and then slowly loosen up your reins over time, than to start out all willy-nilly and loose and then try to rein the kids back in. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be easy. A metaphor that I've heard in the past is once toothpaste gets out the tube, it's out the tube, and you can't get it back in. So once you lose control of your class, it is incredibly hard to regain that control. Or once you have set a precedent for a way things are gonna go, it's very difficult to get that back. So I say start out with being a stickler for everything. Sweat the details. Sweat the details. If you want pencils in the pencil boxes, if you want them eraser side up, make sure every kid knows that, and every single time. You don't want kids shouting out at you at the beginning of the year. Raise your hand every single time. It's, you know, it might seem monotonous, but I promise you, you'll make up so much time in the long run of the school year if you stick to it and are a stickler at the beginning of the school year on those little things. And you know what too? Kids want that structure and they strive for that structure, and when you teach them the deliberate, intentional way that you want things done, they will gravitate toward it and they will hold themselves and each other accountable for your routines and procedures. But you gotta teach them first, and you gotta practice those things as well. So something that I try to do is we do a lot of role play. So if a rule is when the hallway we walk with our hands on our hips, I take a couple of kids, I call them up, and I have the whole class watch them, and they walk the right way, and then maybe I'll pretend like I'm a student who doesn't know what they're doing, and I'll do it the wrong way, and they'll correct me. We role play all these different scenarios. It even comes down to when I'm calling students on the carpet for story time, I will call one child and I will narrate what they're doing. I will tell them first how to come to the carpet, and then I'll call one child and I'll say, I want everyone to watch this child come to the carpet, and we watch how they do it. And then I say, okay, I wonder, is there any table that can come to the carpet just like that child did? And I call the blue table, and we all watch the blue table, and then we call the yellow table. I mean, it takes a long time, but you show them that you expect these high expectations. We will walk in the classroom. We will walk quietly, and when we get to the carpet, we will sit down the correct way, and we will be in our own personal space. And you show them that, and it's not like a mean thing. It's just you're showing this is how we do it here. And when you enforce those rules and procedures and routines, it's not you being mean, it's just how things go. And when you can do it every time and be consistent, nobody will ever question it, because they'll just see that's just how we do it here. So there you have it. Those are just my things that I do to get ready for the school year. That's how I survived the day one of school, and this is my 6th year. I'm going into my 6th year, and I'm still just as nervous as ever, and it's okay to be nervous. No matter how long you've been teaching, it's okay to get nervous before the first day. There's so many things you just don't know about, and that's just one way that I make it more manageable is I plan ahead, plan way too much. It's way better to have way too much plan that you don't get through than to have not enough and then just have free time. So hope you guys are having a good summer, and I hope that you are getting ready for your classroom and your everything. I hope that everything's going well. I thought I'd leave you with this tidbit. Maybe it can help ease your mind as we get closer to the first day of school. Whew. All right. Find a gift, share it with the world, and remember, you are worth it. See you tomorrow.